you would like to, you still have much more time left.
Yes, please, Chair. Once again, I hear reference to FIFA. This has got nothing to do with FIFA or CAF. There is the responsibility of a prescribed official within SAFA to count how many yellow cards there are, to prevent a player going onto the field and compromising a crucial outcome. We don't need FIFA, we don't need anything. Have any steps been taken against that individual? And I read an article that said that the individual was paid something like over 100,000 rand a month to count yellow cards. And he didn't count the yellow cards and potentially jeopardized our qualification for the World Cup. What accountability steps were taken with this official? Or is it just do as you please in this organization?
It's far gone for us to just say, listen, so he's still there, there's an investigation, it's this one and that one. We would want harsher action from SAFA.
Just can I assist you? Imagine if Lesotho had met the time frame and had complained, and the rules of SAFA kicked in, of FIFA kicked in, and all the efforts of those players to get themselves into a winning qualifying position went down the drain because a SAFA official didn't do their job. That's the question. What would have happened then? And we're trying to prevent this ever happening again. So instead of being evasive, why can't we just see some leadership and accountability and say, we have done X, Y, and Z about this, and we will make sure that it never happens again. But we just get evasiveness. I've sat here most of the morning, left my other committee because I wanted to come and find out what kind of accountability there is in this organization. And frankly, I'm about to leave to go to a parliamentary sitting, and I'm going to leave with the impression that there is none.
Our last member will be the Honourable Trollip. Yeah, at least we are awake. Honourable Trollip, following by Honourable Nkosi, and then we'll give a slot for Honourable questions for Honourable Sali that has been asked, and some of the questions is going through through the system.
With all due respect, I was respecting every single member to get an opportunity. Some of these members got answers already. My phone is blowing up with requests for responses because these matters.
We will create that opportunity, Honourable Sali.
Thank you.
I think Honourable Khabwe has utilized the space to say this is how we do it and this is how members has chosen to do. But I'm going to give an opportunity that they respond to you. Honourable Trollip.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks for letting me ask a question in this committee. I'm not a member, but I am a member of Parliament. And I sincerely hope that some of the evasiveness will be dealt with through Promotion to Access of Information Act. And that the committee...
Trollip, can you please speak closer to the mic?
I sincerely hope that some of the evasiveness will be dealt with through the Promotion of Access to Information Act. I listened to the CFO lamenting earlier on about their ability or inability to attract sponsors. And I would venture that that reflects on the performance or the image or the profligacy of SAFA. So I want to ask a question that was partly answered about Teboho Mokoena. He received 2 yellow cards in previous games and was fielded in the game against Lesotho. He should not have been fielded. We didn't have to wait for FIFA or CAF to give that information. The management responsible should have ensured that he wasn't on the field, because it could have cost us crucial qualification for the World Cup. When SAFA was alerted by FIFA and CAF that the penalty could gift Lesotho the 3 hard-earned points, but Lesotho failed to lodge their complaint within the time frame, either it was fate or miscalculation. But I've read a lot about this, and that's what brought me to this committee. I've heard former Bafana players say that heads must roll. They've called it schoolboy error without accountability, and it tells the world we're running a Mickey Mouse organization whilst trying to qualify for the World Cup, quote unquote. I want to know, and the name was bandied here, but I want it on the record. Who made the ghastly error that could have resulted in disaster for our World Cup qualification campaign? And I ask that question against the background of Bafana Bafana and other national teams who are thankfully on the ascendancy through performance. But I also ask that against the background of an article written in the Sunday World that was headlined, "SAFA, why must you be the rotten apple that spoils the bag?" Close quote. I also want to reference an article on Independent Online where they name the responsible official, but they go on to say, but with SAFA being so poorly run at the moment, who can blame him? My question then is, who is the official? How much is he paid? And we don't have to hide that. How much is he paid on a monthly basis to do his job, to count how many yellow cards there are? And what happened to him for not doing his job? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. SAFA, can you respond to that question?
Could I just indicate again that matter is under investigation. It will be dealt with. And names have been bandied about. But when FIFA makes that decision, then only the investigation will be completed. The investigation is incomplete at the moment.
What systems, in terms of what the honourable member has asked, does SAFA have in place to prevent this? I mean, there's dashboards, there's modern analytical stuff. I mean, you can even check a player's progress on computer. Don't you think that's a serious offence?
I think the problem here was that FIFA, CAF, and the match commissioner were not informed of the yellow cards. And when you get to a match commissioner's meeting, that's when you are alerted to this. Even SAFA was not alerted to it officially of Mokoena's 2 yellow cards. It came up after the game against Lesotho. So I don't want to say too much about it because, people will feel that they are prejudiced about their own rights concerning this game. It's a very serious matter. From the legal committee's point of view, I've engaged the CEO on this matter because there are queries like Mr. Trollip has. Lots of queries that come to me as an individual. It has to be answered.
Yeah, Honourable Trollip, I'm going to give you a follow-up if you would like to. You still have much more time left.
Yes, please, Chair. Once again, I hear reference to FIFA. This has got nothing to do with FIFA or CAF. There is the responsibility of a prescribed official within SAFA to count how many yellow cards there are, to prevent a player going onto the field and compromising a crucial outcome. We don't need FIFA, we don't need anything. Have any steps been taken against that individual? And I read an article that said that the individual was paid something like over 100,000 rand a month to count yellow cards. And he didn't count the yellow cards and potentially jeopardized our qualification for the World Cup. What accountability steps were taken with this official? Or is it just do as you please in this organization?
SAFA?
Just answer that again. I cannot overemphasize the fact that if somebody says that FIFA and CAF are not involved in this, they are involved in this. It was a World Cup qualifier. So you've got to wait for all the information to filter through. To give answers here today, because Mr. Trollip is saying so, that it doesn't concern FIFA and CAF. That's not true. That's wrong to say that.
No, it's not a question of the Honourable Trollip said so. From a layman's point of view, here we have, there they play, there was negligence, complete negligence. I think what the crux of Honourable Trollip is here, there are cases where you could say, sit back home until investigation. No one is speaking to that. Whether the person is still within the fold, still doing the job, still counting the yellow tickets manually or whatever the case may be. And it's not enough for us as members to say, listen, we're going to accept this. This is a national entity. It's a national product. It belongs to the people of South Africa. And the honourable member and this country has the right to know what step has been taken. And we feel that, it is just, it's far gone for us to just say, listen, so he's still there, there's an investigation, it's this one and that one. We would want harsher action from SAFA.
Can I assist you? Imagine if Lesotho had met the time frame and had complained, and the rules of FIFA kicked in, and all the efforts of those players to get themselves into a winning qualifying position went down the drain because a SAFA official didn't do their job. That's the question. What would have happened then? And we're trying to prevent this ever happening again. So instead of being evasive, why can't we just see some leadership and accountability and say, we have done X, Y, and Z about this, and we will make sure that it never happens again. But we just get evasiveness. I've sat here most of the morning, left my other committee because I wanted to come and find out what kind of accountability there is in this organization. And frankly, I'm about to leave to go to a parliamentary sitting, and I'm going to leave with the impression that there is none.
SAFA, I'm giving you a last bite at this talk.
No, there will be accountability, but we'll have to wait for all the reports to come in. You have these, if you act against any staff member, they also have the right to take up the matter. As we've seen with Namsla, going to the CCMA, going to court, and then you must defend your position. And our position is clear. We will defend on the side of what is right. And unfortunately, we cannot do it at this stage. So we must just plead for, give us some space so that we can deal with the matter.
So imagine this. South Africa's national football team, Bafana Bafana, fights tooth and nail to secure a crucial 2-0 win against Lesotho. The crowd's roaring, players are high-fiving, and hopes for the 2026 FIFA World Cup are sky-high. And then, bam, plot twist. Turns out one of the stars of the match, Teboho Mokoena, wasn't even supposed to be on the field in the first place. Suspended. Yellow cards. A forgotten detail that might cost South Africa 3 points. That's right, not 1, not 2, but 3 vital points, all because somebody somewhere forgot to count. Literally, forgot to count yellow cards. Now let that sink in. Welcome to one of the most embarrassing sporting administrative blunders in recent memory, featuring the South African Football Association, a fuming parliament, and a very grilled Vincent Tseka, the Bafana Bafana team manager. Toss in ActionSA MP Athol Trollip, who came in hotter than a peri-peri sauce, and you've got one wild parliamentary showdown. This is not just about football anymore. This is about accountability, bureaucracy, and what happens when someone making over 100,000 rand a month forgets to do something as basic as tallying yellow cards. So let's unpack this chaos, shall we? The drama unfolded during a portfolio committee meeting on sports, arts and culture, where SAFA, the South African Football Association, had to explain themselves. Why? Because Bafana Bafana played Mokoena in a match against Lesotho even though he had racked up 2 yellow cards from previous matches. Which, if you're not familiar with FIFA rules, means automatic suspension. No ifs, ands, or buts. Now if you're wondering how this slipped through the cracks in 2024, an era where my fridge can tell me I'm low on milk, you're not alone. The MPs in that room weren't having it either. Trollip went full detective mode, grilling SAFA like they'd stolen the World Cup trophy itself. He asked, very bluntly, who exactly made the ghastly error? And more importantly, how much are we paying this person to not count? Spoiler alert. Reports say the man at the center of this, Vincent Tseka, makes around R100,000 a month. To keep track of yellow cards. And somehow, he didn't. Now to be fair, in any big institution, mistakes happen. People forget, systems fail. But here's the kicker. This isn't a missed email. This isn't forgetting to RSVP to your boss's bride. This is an international match. A World Cup qualifier. And the only job Tseka really had on game day was to know who's in and who's out. And let's be honest, when a country's hopes of qualifying for the biggest sporting event on earth are on the line, the margin for error should be 0. So what did SAFA do? Did they immediately take action? Suspend Tseka, open an internal inquiry, file a report? Not quite. SAFA President Danny Jordaan, along with their head of legal, Poobalan Govindasamy, took a more, shall we say, cautious approach. According to them, they can't act just yet. They're waiting on FIFA. They want all the official reports to come in before they move. Which to many South Africans feels a little bit like trying to fix a leaky roof after the rainy season's already flooded your kitchen. Jordaan told the committee, there will be accountability. But it felt like more of a, trust us, eventually, than a, we've got this under control. And here's where Trollip wasn't letting go. He argued that this isn't FIFA's responsibility. This isn't even CAF's issue. This is a basic, internal SAFA procedure. You don't need Zurich or Cairo to tell you a player got 2 yellow cards. You need someone in the SAFA office to go, hey, Mokoena's on thin ice. Let's bench him this match. That's it. That's the job. Instead, SAFA's response boiled down to, we weren't officially alerted. Which sounds like a pretty weak excuse when you're in charge of alerting yourselves. It also didn't help that Poobalan Govindasamy said the issue only came up after the match. Like, imagine serving chicken that's gone off and saying, well, nobody told me it was spoiled before I put it in the oven. That's not how responsibility works. Now, this isn't the first time South African football has been under scrutiny. But this particular incident has fans, and officials, shaking their heads in disbelief. Because this isn't just a paperwork issue. It could derail South Africa's shot at World Cup glory. 3 points lost could be the difference between going to the tournament or watching it from the couch with some Simba chips. And for a nation that hasn't qualified for a World Cup on merit since 2002, this is a gut punch. The MPs were livid. They wanted names. They wanted answers. Trollip kept pressing. Has any action been taken? Has anyone even been suspended? Is Tseka still showing up to work every day pretending nothing happened? But Govindasamy refused to throw anyone under the bus. He said the investigation is still ongoing. That once FIFA decides, then SAFA can act. But again, this is like waiting for the cops to tell you someone broke your window when you watched them do it from your own lounge. So what's really going on here? It looks like SAFA is trying to protect its own. Which isn't unusual in big bureaucracies, but it doesn't sit well with fans or parliament. Jordaan kept pleading with MPs to give them space to deal with the matter. But patience is running thin. And with millions of South Africans emotionally and financially invested in the national team, accountability can't be delayed forever. Now here's a fun twist. In the middle of all this chaos, Vincent Tseka hasn't even publicly commented. Not a word, silent as a vuvuzela on mute. Meanwhile, the internet is doing what the internet does best: memes, outrage, and calling for resignations. Some fans joked that they could have tracked yellow cards better using a piece of biltong and a Bic pen. Others suggested Tseka might have thought the yellow cards were just part of the uniform. One viral tweet read, "If I got our 100K a month to count to 2 and still got it wrong, I'd at least say sorry." Brutal. But beneath the memes, the laughter, and the parliamentary roast, lies a deeper issue. If our sports institutions can't get the small things right, how can we trust them with the big stuff? How do we restore confidence in a system that doesn't seem to know how many yellow cards its players have? Let's be honest. South Africa's got talent. Bafana Bafana has been fighting hard, showing grit and resilience on the field. The last thing they need is off-field drama sabotaging their chances. This isn't just about Tseka. It's about a culture of accountability. A culture of professionalism. One that says, we take our football seriously. Because here's the truth. World Cup spots don't come easy. Especially when you're competing in a brutal Group C. Dropping 3 points because of a clerical error isn't just a setback. It's a national embarrassment. So what happens next? Well, FIFA will make their ruling. And chances are, South Africa will lose those 3 points. The committee will continue pressing for answers. SAFA will promise to do better. And fans, they'll be watching closely. Because when you've got millions rooting for the team, when you've got young kids dreaming of playing on that world stage, every decision, every card, counts. And as for Vincent Tseka, he might still be employed. He might still be counting cards. Hopefully better this time. But one thing's for sure, Parliament, fans, and every sports lover in the country just learned a lesson. Not all drama happens on the pitch. Sometimes, the real action is behind the scenes, where the real goals, like competence, trust, and accountability, are the ones we should be scoring. Let's hope we start doing that before the next big match.